Hi guys, and welcome to a new video, and welcome to the channel if you're new here. If you're new here, I'm Ollie and this is Turner's Workshop, and in this week's video we're going to be reviewing another diesel heater here. Previously I made a video about this all-in-one diesel heater made by Hcalory, and I gave you my honest opinion of it. There were a few little things that I highlighted that I wasn't too keen about, but overall I was quite impressed with the unit. So I'll put a link to that video in the description if you want to check it out. Today we're going to be reviewing a different model of diesel heater, still made by Hcalory. This is the HBU1S model, an 8 kilowatt diesel heater, and this I believe is their cheapest model that they make. In this video I'm going to be doing an unboxing. I'll show you how to set up this unit because it's not an all-in-one like the previous one we looked at. It's going to require a little bit more setting up, and then I'll do a demonstration and I'll give you my honest feedback at the end of this video as to what I think of this model. I have installed this type of diesel heater previously, so I'm also going to include a little section in this video about how to install this in a camper van, if that's what you're looking to do with it. With energy prices forever increasing, I think more and more people are looking at alternative options for heating their spaces. So this diesel heater may be an option for you, and we'll look at that in this video. Whether you work at home and you've got a small room that you use as your home office, perhaps using a diesel heater will be much more economical for you than heating your whole house off of the mains boiler. Or perhaps you've got a camper van you want to install one of these in, a motorhome. There are so many different applications that you can use these diesel heaters for. They're really versatile. With that being said, let's see if this particular diesel heater is any good, and then hopefully based on this video you can make an informed decision for yourself as to whether or not you want to get this particular model. That's enough waffle for now. If you're new to the channel, if you could do me a favour quickly and give this video a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed, and if you hit that alarm bell and set notifications to all, you'll be notified when I post new videos. First impressions are good. It comes nicely packaged in this box. This was from Banggood and it came next day, so very good delivery. You can also get them on Amazon as well. I'll put links to both in the description below if you wanted to get it from Amazon for convenience, or if you wanted to get it from Banggood because it is slightly cheaper on Banggood. This model comes with a larger 10-litre tank. Feels alright. It's got something inside it. Comes with a few fixings for mounting the tank by the looks of it. This is the user manual and it looks fairly comprehensive. That's not actually snot on my sleeve, by the way, that's just dust, just saying. We've got a parts list there, installation diagram, safety instructions, and how to use the control panel, how to set up the app, so that looks good. The diesel heater unit comes well protected with all this foam wrapped around it so it doesn't get damaged in the post. There's the main diesel heater unit. We've got the thermostat controller there. And then in this box we've got all the other different bits and pieces that we need for installing this type of diesel heater. So we've got the hot air duct for the outlet. We've got this mounting plate. It's not too bad. It looks to be galvanized as well, so hopefully it doesn't go rusty. It's fairly thick metal, maybe like 2 mil. We've got a little duct splitter. It's a good idea. So you can have your air going in a couple of different directions if you want. Although it doesn't come with that much duct, so you might need to order some more separate. We have got the exhaust pipe and silencer, various different bits and pieces in here. It actually comes with a fuel filter, which is nice to see, whereas the other all-in-one unit didn't come with that. Fuel pump, another air intake pipe for the combustion side of things. This one doesn't come with a mains adapter because it's designed for being used inside vehicles, camper vans, motorhomes, so we're going to be running this one off of a battery. Plastic outlet piece, so it looks a little bit neater, and then some of this fuel pipe. You can get different types of fuel line for these diesel heaters. This one comes with the cheapest option you can get, and this tends to deteriorate in time. It's not ideal, so I'll put a link in the description to the white plastic type, and it's much better. I've also bought separately one of these turret plates, which makes installing these diesel heaters so much easier. For the sake of £15 that these turret plates cost on Amazon, you can just mount your diesel heater to this, and then all you have to do is cut one hole out This is 127mm across here, so you're going to need a 130mm hole saw. You can cut the hole through the floor of the van, mount the diesel heater to this, and then drop that in. They do different depth turret plates. I'd recommend getting the deepest one you can find. I think this one's 60mm. They do 25 and 30mm ones, I think, as well. But just get the deepest one. So then that way you've got a nice layer of protection between your van's floor, insulation, and the hot exhaust outlet underneath the van. If you just use a standard one that it comes with, you don't have that layer of protection, and you're going to have to mark out the holes and drill them all separately. So yeah, it's just a bit of a faff, whereas if you use one of these, it's just one big hole. It may look a little bit overwhelming having all these different parts, but I can assure you it's really straightforward to put together. So I'm going to show you how to set it up now, and then we can test it out. But first, let's take a closer look at the main diesel heater unit. I was expecting it to come in red and blue, but we've got this black model here, and I have to say I think it looks a bit more premium than the red and blue, even though you're probably not going to see this anyway. It's going to be hidden away somewhere in your van, so the colour probably doesn't really matter, but it's nice to have the option. Overall, it feels quite well put together. If we take this end piece off, we've got good access to the main heater unit for maintenance. I think this whole section just slides out. You've got the fan on the back of the unit there. Cold air comes in here, heated up as it passes over the heat exchanger. There's your glow plug, and then you've got hot air coming out of this side into your space. So that cover's nice and easy to take off for maintenance. You've got a warning notice on here. I mean, the sticker could have been stuck on straight, but you know, that's being really fussy. And that one there as well. We've got the main details on the side of the unit. We've got our model number there, the voltage 12 volts or 24 volts, input 12 volts DC, 12 amps, 24 volts DC, 6 amps, manufacturer, yeah, try reading that, and made in China. And if you look around the seams, it's a little bit rough in places, like here. But overall, not bad at all. And then on the bottom of the unit, we've got this silicone gasket here. Silicone, so it's heat resistant, and that's going to seal the inside of the van from the outside. This is where we connect on our fuel line, and it's got this black rubber plug on it. So let's take that off to begin with. I'm going to start by installing the turret plate on the bottom of the diesel heater. It only goes round one way, so you've just got to line up all the holes, but that doesn't actually fit on there. Either the studs are slightly bent, or these haven't been drilled out in the right place for this particular diesel heater. So what I'm going to do is drill out these holes slightly just to open them up, and then that way it should go on there much easier. But if you're using the one it comes with, let's just check that one. That fits on there absolutely fine if you just want to use the one that it comes with. But like I say, these turret plates are a safer option in my opinion, because you've got this layer of protection between the inside and the outside of the van. You're going to have a hot exhaust pipe coming through here, and you don't really want that to come in contact with your insulation and flooring inside the van. I think these holes in here are 7mm, and I'm just going to open it up to a 7.5. I've checked through the user manual, and it doesn't actually say about the different mounting orientations, but I believe there are two ways you can mount these diesel heaters. The first one being standard, that way, so you drill a hole through the floor of the van and then you can just drop the unit in. Or I believe you can also get chassis brackets for these diesel heaters, so you can put them underneath the van and have them on their side, but they have to be mounted in this orientation with the wiring loom facing up. This fuel pipe here has to be on the upside. I wouldn't recommend putting it on the outside of the van anyway, because of all the moisture and everything underneath the van. It's not going to be a very nice environment for your diesel heater to live. So in this bag we can find, there's actually 5 10mm nuts, just in case you lose one I guess. So fix the nuts on the bottom of the diesel heater to secure the turret plate to the unit. So just nip them up. Next I'm going to connect up the air intake pipe and the exhaust pipe for the combustion chamber. So you need to work out which one's which. An easy way to work that out is here you've got the fuel line coming through, and you're not going to want the fuel line close to the exhaust pipe just in case it melts through it. So your air intake goes on this side next to the fuel line. So that's the cold side. That'll go on there. The Jubilee clips it comes with are really cheap and nasty, I have to say. They're so cheap and nasty, I'm not going to be using them. I've got some nice good quality ones here. You have to put it in an orientation where you can do it up because there's not that much room in these turret plates. So just get it in a position like that and then tighten it up. That's not coming off. Perfect. And then get the exhaust pipe with your hose clamp on there and put it on the other side. Get it in a position where you can do it up and then tighten it on there. But make sure you can get your ratchet out. I will be using this green fuel hose just for the demonstration, but like I say, I'd recommend replacing it with that white plastic type. So let's go in here and find our little hose clamps. I'm going to start off by connecting this onto the bottom of the diesel heater. Push one of those hose clamps onto your fuel line. Put that on the bottom of the unit. To make it a little bit easier to install, you can put it in a cup of boiling hot water, and it just makes the end a little bit more pliable to get it on there. Give it a little tug test. According to the manual, it looks like you can have 1.2 meters of this fuel hose before the fuel pump. I would say that's up to 1.2 meters. So then we're going to connect our fuel pump onto the fuel line here. So take the caps off of the end of the fuel pump. It does have a direction on this fuel pump. You can see that arrow there. So the electrical connector has to be installed facing towards the diesel heater. So you get your fuel line from the diesel heater and then that connects onto the fuel pump here. Don't forget to put your little hose clamp on. Wiggle it round and round and round like that while pushing it on. And then try and get this hose clamp over the end of the pump. Oh, abandon this fuel hose, it's rubbish. Just get the white plastic type. Before installing the other side of the fuel hose, put the rubber mounting bracket on the fuel pump like that. The little fuel filter has got a direction arrow on it, so it needs to flow that way. I wouldn't call it much of a filter though, because the gauze inside it is quite coarse, it's got big holes. I would want a much finer filter for the diesel heater really, so that it's nicely protected. I've wasted so much time with this fuel hose. I'm in between doing night shifts at the moment as well, guys, so I'm really tired. It's not helping with this situation. There we go. Ouch! Deep breath. Patience isn't my strongest point.
2 hours later.
We've got one more connection to do, and that's onto the tank. You're going to need to fit this piece on the inside of the tank so that you can connect the fuel hose on here, because this comes sealed. So we're going to need to drill a hole in the bottom of it, 7.5mm. This will go through with a rubber O-ring, and then this nut and O-ring will go on the outside of the tank to hold it in place. There are a couple of places you can install this tank connector, either here on this flat piece or this one here. So depending on where you want the mounting holes, you can either have it there or there. So I'm just going to drill a hole on this flat piece here, slightly off center because it's got this line running down it. You could sand that off if you wanted to make it flat and have it in the middle, but I'm just going to put it slightly off center. You can see here it's got this line running down the tank. You don't really want your O-ring to be sealing on that ridge. So either put it slightly off center like I have here, so the O-ring is going to sit on this flat piece, or get a little piece of sandpaper and just sand off that ridge so that it's nice and flat. We do need to open it up slightly as well. We now need to get this piece inside the tank coming through that hole at the bottom there. So what I plan on doing is using this coat hanger I've got, feed it through the tank and poke it through the hole there. I'm now going to get this piece with the rubber seal on it, and then I'm going to use the coat hanger. I'm just going to put it over the coat hanger, and then you can slide that piece down through there. And now I can take the coat hanger out. Once you've got this rubber seal over a few of the threads, it should hopefully stop it from pulling out, and then you can just get the nut and tighten it on there. I've just got some vice grips on here, and then I'm just going to use a little spanner to tighten up this piece onto the bottom of the tank. I'd recommend doing a tightness test on this before you install it and fill it with diesel. So let's fill it with water and just make sure we haven't got any leaks around this seal. And then I'll empty it out and make sure it's thoroughly dry before we fill it with diesel. Let's put a drop of water in there. By filling it with water, it's a good way to get any swarf out of the tank as well that you may have left behind from drilling. So we now just need to connect up the fuel tank on the other side of the filter. So just cut a bit more off, maybe that much. You can obviously use the rest of that if you're running your fuel tank further back in the system, and then we can just connect that onto the bottom of the fuel tank. Easier said than done.
2 hours later.
That will do. That's our fuel line connected. So from the bottom of the tank, goes through the filter with the arrow pointing this way towards the diesel heater. And then we've got our fuel pump, again the arrow facing this way because that's the direction of flow, and then into the diesel heater. This is our exhaust silencer. It's got a drain hole on the bottom of it to let the condensation out, so it needs to be mounted that way up. So get your hose clamp, put it on there, and then secure your silencer onto the exhaust pipe. This plastic cover screws onto the air intake pipe for the combustion side. So get your hose clamp, put it on there, screw this plastic cover on, and tighten up the hose clamp. You can see on the plastic cover it has got some gauze material in there to stop any large pieces of dirt and debris being sucked into the combustion chamber. Once your diesel heater's at this stage, you've got the turret plate connected, your exhaust pipe's attached, the air intake pipe is attached, and you've got the fuel hose on the bottom of it. It's time to install it in the van. So you can drill the hole out if you haven't already, 130mm for this size turret plate, and then you can drop the diesel heater unit in, and maybe a bead of silicone around the bottom here just to seal it. That would be good, and then put some screws in it to fix it to the floor, or you can bolt it through if you really want to. I won't be installing this particular diesel heater in a van because I don't currently have one, but I will be installing it to this bench so we can quite clearly see how all the components are pieced together, and I think it'll be better that way for testing and demonstrating the unit working. Here we have our trusty old workmate, and this is going to resemble the van's floor, and this is the hole going through the floor. So we want to get our diesel heater unit and feed it through the hole. Poke that through the hole. Lovely. Careful of the fuel line. You might need to disconnect the pump, but that will go there like that. Got a few bolts just to fix it down for the demo. The fuel tank does come with some self-tapping screws, but I'm just going to put a longer one in to hold it on the side of the bench here. If you're going to have the diesel pump on the inside of the van, just make sure you use a rubber grommet through the van floor for your fuel hose to go through, because the sharp edges of the van will obviously cut through this hose in time. So make sure you use one of these rubber grommets. It does come with some small self-tapping screws for this, but I'm using my own ones because they're slightly longer and a bit better quality. Underneath your vehicle, you're going to want to make sure that your fuel hose and air intake pipe don't come in contact with the exhaust pipe. So your exhaust needs to be securely fastened to the chassis, pointing towards the rear of the vehicle. It comes with a couple of exhaust brackets, so you can fix the exhaust pipe securely underneath the van using these. And there's one for the silencer as well. But for this demo, obviously, I'm just going to have it down there like that, and then we'll point that outside using an extension piece that I've got. And then here is our air intake pipe. Again, you want that pointing downward slightly. Originally, I thought that that had to be facing towards the front of the van and that towards the back, but actually they can face in the same direction. as long as they're pointing downwards slightly and not touching. Underneath here, our fuel hose isn't touching on the exhaust pipe. We've got a nice curve on it so it's not kinked, and then that's just fastened up here, going through the fuel pump, which is mounted at a 30-degree angle. That goes round through our fuel filter and into our tank. It's a common misconception that these fuel tanks are gravity fed. They're not, they're pumped. That's why you've got a pump here, so you can have them below the diesel heater if you like. They don't have to be mounted above. The unit's not going to work without being powered up, so here I have a leisure battery, a couple of battery clamps. It's an all-in-one wiring loom actually, that's quite good. On this end of the wiring loom we've got our connections which go straight onto the battery. Our positive side is fused, which is good to see, 20 amp fuse there, and that's protecting the cable to the diesel heater unit. And then if we follow the loom down, what else have we got? This connector goes onto the diesel heater unit, and then at the bottom of the loom we've got this one which goes to the wall stat, and this one goes to the fuel pump. So just push this little metal tab in and then slide it on the fuel pump. This wire from the loom plugs into the wall stat, so just connect that up. I'm now going to connect up this wiring loom to the battery, so I'm going to start by connecting the positive first, so there isn't a chance of sparking the positive against the chassis. And when we connect up the negative, this unit should power up on the screen. You can obviously wire this straight into your 12-volt fuse board if you've got one in your van. Just make sure you transfer the fuse over. You can see the screen's now powered up. Let's put some diesel in it. I'm actually just going to pour the diesel out from the other one into this one because I haven't got any diesel left. I used it all in that other test. Oh, I'm spilling it everywhere. And now we connect the hot outlet duct onto the diesel heater. So hose clamp on there, and then secure that hose clamp on the end of the diesel heater. And with that on there, you can give it a pull. It does come with this duct splitter, but you don't really get that much hose to use it, and it only comes with 2 hose clamps. To help with this demonstration, I've got another exhaust pipe which I'm going to attach onto here. So it makes it easier for me to get this exhaust pipe outside because I'm just going to run it underneath the garage door for now. I'm now going to push the on button. I can feel a very slight cool breeze coming out of the end of the duct. And then the pump should start to kick in. There we go. And you can see the fuel is gradually being pumped from the tank, filling the fuel lines up. And this is priming the system. And it's tripped out on error E10, which just means basically it hasn't got fuel at the diesel heater yet. It's gone to start the glow plug to burn the diesel and there isn't any fuel present, so it's tripped out. We need to reset it to continue priming the system. Once the diesel heater's turned off, you can push the on button again, push and hold it, and then it'll redo it. E10 again is tripped out because we still haven't got fuel up to the heater. So third time lucky, we should get fuel up to the unit. The fuel's just about there and it's just got to go through that last little bit of pipe up into the bottom of the heater. This time round I'm going to use the app to switch it on. So just download the app and then click plus, and then it's searching for diesel heaters. So let's click on that. Bluetooth connection successful, and you can see that fault code's come up on the screen. Fault code E10, unable to start, ignition failure. Solution. The solution is unidentifiable comprehensive reasons. Please take videos and pictures. A thorough inspection of spark plugs, oil pump, combustion chamber, air duct, motor, fan, circuit may be needed. Not very helpful to be honest, that's just saying it could be anything, and that's probably why it's got 682 thumbs downs. So on here we've got a mode change. There are 2 different modes you can put it in. The gear mode, which gives you 10 different temperature presets, is currently on the highest one, HH10. If we click this, we can change it to temperature, and then it gives you a reading there in degrees Fahrenheit. You can change the units up here. Unit switch, I'm going to put that in Celsius. And then we've got the height there for high altitude mode. So high altitude mode is for if you're going to use this up in the mountains or at a high altitude. You can click this button and it will adjust the diesel heater settings to make it more efficient, because obviously the higher you go, the thinner the air is, and so it adjusts the fuel air ratio on the diesel heater to keep it working efficiently. And it's got an automatic height reading here, so we're currently 47 meters above sea level, I think that is. The aluminium body temperature there, 22 degrees. Ambient temperature is currently 12. Another feature I really like on the app is up here, we've got a timer setting. So you can add a timer, the start and end time of when you want your diesel heater to come on. You can have that repeat daily if you wanted to, and just save the timer. That's a great feature. Your time syncs automatically. Everything that's on the app is repeated on this unit here. So I'm going to up the temperature and you'll see it change on that controller as well. I'm going to put it on gear mode and then whack it on the maximum setting. There we go. And we'll see what temperature that kicks out. It's currently at 47, 48. So not only do we have the wall controller and the app, we've also got this one here, which we can use to adjust the temperature. This one doesn't have any other functions other than turning it on and off and adjusting the temperature set point. But my favourite way to control it is definitely the app. 75, 76 degrees. It's currently running off of the battery. So obviously you need to make sure that you've got enough capacity in the battery for the ramp up and ramp down process, because it draws more current on startup and ramp down. But once it's up to temperature and just ticking over, it doesn't draw that much power. So just bear that in mind. And it is very cold outside. Down here, we've got 6.6 degrees. And it's pumping out 88, 87, 88 degrees. It works a treat. I'm now going to turn it down to 5, which is a halfway setting. And you can see how responsive it is. And on the halfway setting, we're getting 88 degrees coming out of the duct. And I'm now going to put it on the lowest setting, which is what I would probably have it at when I'm sleeping. I'll just have it ticking over on the lowest setting, so I'm not using that much fuel, but it's still kicking out a fair amount of heat. It just ramps the fans right down, turns the pump right down. The pump's actually quite loud, exposed like this, so I definitely have it mounted underneath the van. I wouldn't want my head this close to it when I'm sleeping, that's for sure. You can hear that, but the fan itself is very quiet. I've currently got this diesel heater on the lowest setting, so number 1, and we've got 50 odd degrees coming out of here. It's important to note that you don't want your indoor controller mounted too close to the outlet duct, because it's going to pick up that temperature. And if it's right there, then it's going to ramp your diesel heater right down and it won't be performing at its optimum. So make sure that's mounted up in the space so it picks up an average space temperature. One of you guys mentioned in my last diesel heater video that if you ramp this diesel heater up to its maximum setting just before shutting it down, it's a good way to reduce the maintenance, because you'll burn off any soot that's collected in there from being on the lowest setting. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to ramp it right up, allow it to just clean out the chamber, and then we'll shut it down. And we really are spoilt for choice when it comes to controlling this diesel heater. It's hard to make that decision, really. Do I use the app to ramp it up? Do I use this one? Or do I use the main controller? I think I'm going to have to use all three. So let's ramp it up on this one. 2, 3, 4. I'm going to ramp it up on this one now. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maximum setting. Before I shut this off and allow it to run through its cool down cycle, I'm going to take one last temperature from the duct, and we've got 87.3, 4, 5. I don't really want to turn it off because it's really bloody cold outside, but we're going to have to turn it off. Let's use this to turn it off. Are we ready? We're going to turn it off. And just like that, the device is shutting down. Do not power off. This process lasts for a few minutes. It takes about 6 minutes for the diesel heater to run through its cool down cycle, so just make sure you've got enough capacity in your batteries for it to run through that cycle. In my previous video of the all-in-one Hcalory unit, I also timed how long it takes to get up to temperature, so if you're interested to know, you can watch that video, but I'm not going to be doing it in this one because I appreciate this video is already a bit long. It's exactly the same unit really, just that's all in one, whereas this one you have to put all the components together. I think one more thing that's worth mentioning about the app is that if you've got multiple Hcalory diesel heaters, you can rename them. So you just click it, rename it, and you can call it whatever you want. So if you've got 2 in your van, you can call it heater 1 and heater 2, or front and back. Or if you've got 1 in your house and 1 in your van, you could call this one house, this one van. You know, it gives you options. I've just read in here that you can manually prime the fuel lines so that you don't get the fault code come up on the screen. And to do that, you push and hold the up and down button for 2 seconds and it will manually turn the fuel pump on. So you'll just do that, watch the fuel come through from the tank until it gets to the diesel heater unit. And when you let go, the fuel pump will turn off. So I'll just show you that now. So you push and hold these two for 2 seconds, the pump will start, and then as soon as you let go, the pump will run on for a little bit and then turn off like that. The only trouble with doing it that way is you can over prime it, and if you over prime it, you're going to have fuel sitting in the combustion chamber when you do go to start it up, and it might be a bit smoky. So just bear that in mind. If you don't want that to happen, it might be worth just running through the automatic cycle a few times. It takes about 3 or 4 goes. Just reset the fault, go again, wait for the fuel to go through the line, and then it will automatically turn on without getting really smoky. It's review time. What do I think of this model of Hcalory diesel heater? Overall, I'm very impressed with it, as I was with the all-in-one unit. These models are very similar, but this one just required a lot more setting up. My favourite feature about it is definitely the app. I love how responsive it is. It's really easy to use, and we've got 3 ways of controlling this diesel heater, which is really nice. You can set timers up on the app as well, so if you've got this mounted in your van, you can have it come on automatically in the morning, so when you wake up, it's already warm in the van, so you don't freeze. And also, if you don't want to leave it running overnight, which lots of people don't, you can have it turn off automatically during the night. With these diesel heaters, it goes without saying really, it should go without saying, that you need to install a carbon monoxide alarm in your van, because the exhaust gases, if they get sucked into the intake somehow, or there's a fault with the combustion chamber and you have exhaust gases leaking out of it, that will be ducted into the space, which is really poisonous and it will kill you. So make sure you have a carbon monoxide alarm fitted, and I'll put a link to them in the description below where you can pick one up, and it could save your life. So what don't I like about this setup? I think you already know what I'm going to say, but this fuel hose is shit. It's so bad, just throw it in the bin. Get yourself some of that white plastic type, it's so much better, and it's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to installing your unit. The second thing, the plate it comes with, get yourself a turret plate instead. I'm not sure why these diesel heaters don't come with a turret plate already. They could charge a little bit more, and then you'd have a much better kit, but I guess it's just to keep the costs down. They just include one of these. But I'd much rather it just didn't come with that, because I'm not going to be using it anyway. It comes with this outlet splitter piece, but it only comes with 2 hose clamps. So you'll have to get some more of those if you want to use this piece, and also maybe some more of the outlet ducts, because it only comes with a short length. The fuel pump is quite loud, you can hear it ticking away. So I'd recommend mounting that underneath your van, far away from where you're sleeping, because it would get rather annoying. I did have mine mounted on the inside of my last van, and it was built into the sofa unit, so you had all the cushions on top of it, and that made it much quieter, and it was at the opposite end of the van to where I was sleeping. So again, it keeps the noise down. I would replace the filter with a proper inline fuel filter. This has just got a coarse gauze in it, so it will still let small particles through. So I'd replace that with one that's got like a paper material, so it filters the diesel down to sort of 1 micron, so it's nice and clean going into your unit. I'm told you can also run these diesel heaters on kerosene, which is cheaper than diesel, and it actually gives you a cleaner, more efficient burn as well. So that's worth looking into if you get one of these units. It comes with a nice big 10-litre diesel tank, which is good. So that's going to last quite a while with one of these units, I'd say. The all-in-one units only come with a smaller 5-litre tank, and you can also plumb this in to your main diesel tank on the vehicle. If you do get a kit for tapping into your main vehicle's fuel tank, just bear in mind that you want the pickup to be off of the bottom of the main tank so that you don't drain your main vehicle tank all the way down, or else you'll go to start the van and it won't be going anywhere. And also you could damage the fuel pump as well. So just bear that in mind. And I think I've covered everything we need to in this video. I hope you found it useful and it's given you the information you need about this unit if you're considering buying one. They're very reasonably priced, and I'll put a link to them in the description below if you want to pick one up. And buying it through the links, you'll also be supporting the channel. You won't pay any more for it, it just means I get a small kickback off of any sales. So I'd really appreciate it if you buy it through the links. And if you found this video useful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And if you hit that alarm bell and set notifications to all, you'll be notified when I post new videos. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys, bye for now.